Okay. I think we are live. I should turn on comments. Okay. Let us know when you can see us and hear us and that everything's working, which should all be fine. I see the numbers starting to come up. I'm still trying. Did you hear about what I did on one of my Patreon streams?
It depends what the thing is, but I'm assuming that I haven't.
I didn't want my camera in it because I was like, it was right after I hurt my back, so I was like laying in bed and using my computer, and I didn't put my camera into it, which didn't put my audio into it, and I didn't realize until an hour in that no one could
I think you
hear
did actually mention this last time. Yeah,
I'll probably mention it every stream for the rest of my life. Okay, sweet. Hello, people. Hello from Micah and Sab and Tinguish and George. Hello. Okay. So we're back to the verby ergative. We have a bib again, which is very exciting. It was going to be a Jake stream, and then, well, we're all sick. Jake just happens to be the most sick. So expect little of us this evening / afternoon / morning, depending on where you are.
Yeah, I am probably not going to be on my A game, but I will do my best.
I'm here. I'm ready to make horrible decisions.
Yeah, all we have to do, really, as it seems to me at this point, all we really need to do is just keep doing what we were doing last time, and just you guide us. I will present ideas, and then between the two of us, we'll narrow down the phonology of branch P.
I believe in us.
The ancestral verby ergative.
Yes, it'll be great.
Vergative, as I like to call it.
Ooh, vergative. That's great. Oh my gosh. Oh no, Seb. 3 hours of sleep. All right, your brain might be functioning worse than ours somehow, but we'll pull through. Okay.
Right. So, where are we?
So I'm kind of like scrolling up and down through, trying to reacquaint myself. I remember chartreuse. Chartreuse is our guiding principle.
Yes.
Among other things. We started out the phonology. We talked about vowels. I do remember us doing that. We picked some fun vowels.
Did I fix that, or did someone else? Because it occurred to me after we did the last stream, I realized I used the wrong word. I had written vowel prosthesis, which is not correct. It's vowel prothesis. And so I meant to go back and fix it, but I see now it's fixed. So either I did that and just forgot that I did that, or someone else spotted that error and fixed it for me.
It wasn't me. Yeah, I have no idea.
It was either Jake being very vigilant or me just subconsciously going back and fixing it without remembering it. I guess one thing that we can start with, this is something that I meant to bring up last week, but I forgot. This is something that, whether we do it in this language or the Italianate branch, is entirely up to you. I don't think it hugely matters, but remember when we were talking about reduplication a couple of streams ago?
Yeah.
And I think, if I'm remembering correctly, the idea with the Italianate branch, where we're going sort of all in on grammatical number, is that, well, we said in the seedlang that reduplication is going to be like the standard plural marking strategy.
Yeah. I do remember this.
And then that, in some form, will be preserved in the Italianate branch, and in some or all of the numbers, then the reduplicated stem will appear.
Yeah, I think it ended up sticking in the small number one was reduplicating the first syllable, I think is what it ended up being there,
Right.
maybe.
And what I mentioned in that stream, and that I couldn't think of any decent examples off the top of my head, was that with reduplication, there's a lot of opportunity to do some fun, like phonological shenanigans that can kind of disguise the reduplication and make it look more complex than it actually is. And so one sound change that might be useful for that is something called Grassmann's law.
Okay.
I think it's got 2 S's and 2 N's. And this is a sound change that happened in, if I'm remembering correctly, it happened independently in ancient Greek and Sanskrit.
Okay.
I could be misremembering that. It could have just been one thing that was inherited in both. But anyway, the premise is very simple. If you have, how do I explain this? If we have an aspirated consonant, how do you do superscript again?
I don't know. Oh wait, but I have, oh God. If I click this button, oh God, did I, hold on. Magic is about to happen. Magic is about to happen. You want an aspirated, oh, why is it such a pain? Oh, it's not on the easy cheat sheet. Never mind, I can't help you.
Okay, no magic.
Where is it?
Well, pretend that H is superscript. So we say this is an aspirated consonant. So if you've got an aspirated consonant that's in a syllable that is followed by another syllable that also has an aspirated consonant, then the first one deaspirates. So in other words, if you have a syllable like pun, like an aspirated P, then when you reduplicate that, that would ordinarily become pa-pun with 2 aspirated Ps. But then with this sound change, the first one deaspirates, and now it becomes pa-pun. First one unaspirated, the second one aspirated. And then if we factor in the other changes that we have in the Italianate branch, where aspirates become fricatives, then it ultimately becomes pa-fun. Whereas the original pun is now fun. So it's not as simple as you just take the first syllable and just copy it. You just have to know that the word fun, the plural stem of that, isn't fa-fun, it's pa-fun, you know? So I just think that's kind of fun and is a way of, obfuscating the reduplication pattern and just make it a little bit more phonologically variable.
Very nice. I like that. I have a few thoughts. First, Seb to the rescue. Look, I made a tiny H. It is we.
Ah, very good.
Although every time I do it, it zooms us in. So, boom. Oh, I guess we don't zoom in anymore. Oh, and George comes in with on the SIL keyboard, you get the IPA superscripts by typing the character and then plus. Okay, so let's try that. Whoa! So fancy. Such wow. Okay, cool.
Very good.
My other thought. Grassmann's has the word grass in it, which feels very chartreuse to me. Because it's green.
Okay.
So I feel like it belongs here and it was meant to be.
Okay. That's
the vibes we're going with today.
One way of making decisions, yeah.
Yep.
Cool. And that will, again, because I think I brought this up last time, I think it would be interesting if there wasn't a one-to-one correspondence where the aspirated consonants are in the ergative branch versus the Italianate branch. Like, it's not, if one consonant in one environment becomes aspirated and another environment becomes unaspirated, then it kind of helps to sort of make them diverge. Because we've already got we were toying around with this idea that an S before a stop causes that stop to aspirate. So we're kind of gaining aspiration in some places and losing aspiration in other places. So we'll end up with a fairly different distribution than the Italianate one, which is good.
Yeah, I'm game with that. It all sounds nice to me.
Cool. So we will add that to the list of potential changes. What else? Let me just refamiliarize myself with all of this. Yeah, so we're keeping the voiced uvula stop, at least in P. But we can lose that in different ways in the daughter languages. No F. It specifically said no F.
Yeah. It's anti-chartreuse.
Interesting. What about V?
V. V is fine.
Fine, but not good.
Not particularly. It's indifferent.
Indifferent. Okay, because currently we do not inherit a V from the seedling. It's relatively easy to get a V because, like, one thing that happens all the time is that W becomes V. Sometimes it just happens like across the board. Like I want to say that happened in the Romance languages. There's some mild niggling thought that's preventing me from saying that. But like, in Latin, the letter V is always pronounced W. Well, actually, it's pronounced either W or U, depending on the context. But there's no V in Latin. So like when Caesar said, Veni, Vidi, Vici, that was how it's said in classical Latin, whereas in modern, well, not modern, but in the, whether you want to call it the ecclesiastical or the Italian pronunciation of Latin, it's now Veni, Vidi, Vici, so Vici, rather. All of those W's have turned into V. So we could, and also in Hawaiian, I think W is kind of in free variation with V, because you can say like Hawaii instead of Hawaii. But I don't know. There might be some sort of allophonic rule as to which variant appears. But we could define a more specific environment. We could say that W goes to V only under certain, like what I did in Talk for Mir was I said that a W coming after just an obstruent, so a stop or a fricative, it becomes V. So that then you have a word like aqua becomes like akva.
I do like that. The only thing is, I think the only places we have W right now is when we have the L vocalization where L becomes W.
I did jump the gun a little bit, didn't I? Yeah, we don't have a W. We have to generate a W, but that's okay. There are plenty of places to get W's. One way, and you may well have done this in the Italianate branch as well, but it's the kind of change that happens just all the time anyway, is that the vowels E and U go to Y and W when they're next to I don't actually know how to notate that properly. When they're either, basically when they're next to another vowel, so like uo becomes wo, for example. Or in fact, for a Nat Lang example, in Latin, the word for I, as in me, myself, etc., was ego, as in like ego, you know.
Mhm.
But then in Spanish, that G just got weakened and was eventually lost. And so in Italian, in modern Italian, it's io.
Mhm.
But in Spanish, they've just gone one step further and shortened that up. So it's, yo. So that y ultimately came from this e vowel. So we can totally do something like that. We just target, certain vowels in certain positions and just say that they shorten up into glides. Another option, again, we talked about this a couple streams back, vowel breaking.
Mm.
So we could say, like, O goes to like war, for example, which happened in Spanish. No,
Mhm.
not Spanish, Italian. In
Okay.
Spanish, O went to we.
Mm.
Which is why you have the word dormo, which is I sleep, now in Spanish is duermo,
Mm.
because that O broke.
That is cool.
And there was one other thing that I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was. So while I try and remember what that is, how are we feeling about vowel breaking? Because we had that tentatively on the list for the Italianate branch as well, and if we do vowel breaking in both, the vowels don't have to break in the same way. They can do things differently. So on the face of it, how do you feel about vowel breaking?
I think that could be fine. Because I was thinking about, because I know we're doing like a lot of vowel change stuff, but it doesn't look from looking down, I don't think it would really cause much of like an issue with the prevalency of that. I feel like that's not the right use of that word, but
Well, that's actually one way that we could, because we wanted to, well, we kind of went back and forth about this, but we want like a limited number of vowel qualities,
yeah.
at least sometimes, right? Like
Yeah.
in stressed syllables,
We want them
we had.
straightforward. Yeah.
So I think a pretty straightforward way of doing things would be to say that you only have like, not necessarily the full spectrum of vowels, but you have like a core set of vowels that occurs in stressed syllables. And then outside of stressed syllables, they tend to get reduced. Like that, it's pretty similar to what happens in English. In English, you have a word like this word, which like no one says like position.
No.
You say position.
Yeah.
Like all the vowels outside the stressed syllable just become So,
yeah. Yeah, they do.
yeah, English is really keen on reducing vowels on stressed syllables. I should probably have my IPA keyboard ready. Yeah. So again, let me just refresh myself because we did a fair few vowel changes last time. So we said initial vowels raise.
Yes.
But we had plans of changing the stress system later.
Yes. Which I don't think
So
we wrote
basically, what?
down.
No. But we can work with that. So what we'd essentially say with this, as we have it written here, so if we have this happen before the stress shifts,
Yeah.
then functionally all that means is that in initial syllables only, you can only get one of these three vowels, e, u, and Whereas if we say that this happens after the stress shift. Hold on. No, I've confused myself now. Yeah. So we could just, like, the simple option would just be to say it's just the initial vowel, and that's it. But if we specifically said it's stressed vowel raising, then that would mean that, because in the seedlang, and at this point in this language, the primary stress is always on the initial syllable. So if we say that the stressed vowel raising happens while the stress is still on the initial syllable, then that means that we only get these 3 vowels in initial syllables. Right. Or if we say that this happens afterwards, then we only get these 3 vowels specifically in stress syllables, which would come later on in the word.
Right.
So, yeah, basically, would you prefer that there be a smaller number of vowels in stressed syllables? So you would only get, I suppose you would get R as well. So every single word, the stressed syllable, would contain either an E, U, or R. Or would you prefer that only happen for initial syllables, whereas stressed syllables would include a fuller set of vowels?
I was initially thinking just the initial one, but now actually I think just the stressed ones. I think that could be fun.
Okay. So that means that the stress shift has to happen before the stressed vowel raising. Should we talk about the stress shift now? Because
yeah, we can do
that. I kind of want to nail down what these vowels are actually doing. So
okay. Also, we at least for the moment have a Jake in the chat.
Oh, save us, Jake. Hope you are getting some good rest.
What needs saving? Everything, Jake. Our souls.
I don't know. There's just a lot of vowels. I'm just trying to figure out what we're supposed to do with them. We just need to sort of push them together in a way that makes sense.
Yeah. That's good, Jake. Good. I'm happy you're able to rest when you're not feeling well. I am not. But that's okay.
So, where would be the most logical place to start this? Okay, I need to continue to refamiliarize myself with where we left off. So, oh yeah, we added potentially front-rounded vowels as well. And how did we do that again? Okay, yeah, we had palatal, that's right. We said that the palatal consonants cause a following back-rounded vowel to front, and then the palatals merged with the velars. So that means that we now have and e as phonemic vowels.
Yes.
Okay, cool. But I seem to remember last time you said you didn't love those sounds. You at least you said you were indifferent towards them.
I'm feeling more favorable towards them today. I don't know. Maybe it's all the paint fumes I breathed in today, but I'm feeling it. I was painting all day. I was painting all day.
That's not just a family pastime.
No, This is me resting. I'm painting the walls.
Turn the mid vowels into effectively short counterparts of the polar vowels. Maybe. Right now, it just feels like I'm just not properly wrapping my head around the full spectrum of possibilities here. But let's take it one step at a time, because in the Proholang, it's a 6-vowel system. It's relatively clean and simple.
Yeah.
Then we are adding vowels. We're adding the front-rounded vowels through the palatal consonants.
Mm-hmm.
So those get added. Those are phonemic. And then we're also saying that uvulas, we have uvular coloring, which we wrote down here somewhere.
I remember that being a thing. I remember being very fond of that.
Yeah, because you had picked up on the fact that uvulas can cause following vowels to lower and back. And I don't think we actually came to a decision as to what the exact effects of the uvular coloring were.
Yeah, it doesn't look like we did. But I do know it's got to happen.
So yeah, I had proposed these 3 possibilities.
Oh, were these the ones that we wanted to... Oh, then this is the thing. And then people were teasing Matthäus about this, about missing the, I don't know. We were joking about them having babies. Or I was saying I wanted their, like, the combination of the 2 options. And then I think Miles teased Matthäus about missing the talk about, like, uvular mating or something. I don't know. I remember there being a joke there. It was funny. That's all I got.
Well, we do have the spirit of Matthäus with us in the mood board.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, with the owl.
We have, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Specifically a great horned owl. A deep resonant hoo.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. So with the uvular coloring options down here, yeah, you didn't like the just straight up vowel lowering option.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember you said that the vowel laxing was kind of weak, like ki going to ke and ke going to ke. It was just not impactful enough.
Yeah, I know one of them wasn't quite enough, and one of them felt like too much. And I'm like, I feel like something in the middle, but not the thing that was in the middle. I didn't like that.
Yeah, I think this one on the right is the one that we tried to take this and just...
I feel like maybe we did settle on that. Like going the full, like, because this was a later thing we did. Could you say these?
So that first one is... I always have trouble with that vowel because, I don't know, I'm used to saying it in Turkish. Like if I say a Turkish word like kız, that's got that vowel. But then for some reason when I try and actually say it in like a made up example, I always have to kind of search for it. Kı. Kı. Yeah, like that. Kı. And then that one is ka, specifically with like an ah, ka. And then that last one is k, with the same vowel that's in like push or foot.
They all kind of just sound like you're sticking your tongue in the back of your throat a little bit when you say them.
I mean, that is more or less what's happening. That is how uvulas work. You stick your tongue in the back of your throat.
That makes sense. Let's do it. I feel like I like those.
Okay.
I remember thinking about this.
And Yeah, even if we decide we want to change them later, vowels are always very slippery. We can change them as we see fit. So if we go with those, let's just ditch these then.
Yeah.
And say we're going with this.
And Jake does say we could keep the uvular lowering entirely allophonic.
Well, at this point, this would still be allophonic, unless I'm missing something, which I might be. But since all of these only occur in the environment immediately after a uvula, then they'll remain allophonic until, in possibly one of the daughter languages, if we lose the uvulas in some way, then they'll become phonemic.
Okay.
Yeah, cuz out of here. Okay, so by doing uvular coloring, we haven't actually added anything to our vowel phonemes.
Okay.
But then we're saying that in stressed syllables, yeah, then we have to think about where's it gone? Stressed vowel raising. So since we've added front rounded vowels by this point, actually, hold on. Let me just think about this in my head for 1 second. Yeah, either way, it doesn't matter. I was going to ask, do we want to generate front rounded vowels before stressed vowel raising or afterwards? But it doesn't actually matter because we get the same result either way.
Okay.
Which is that since we have stressed vowel raising, then that means that, I don't know why I bothered doing that. I could have just used the keyboard, but there. So that means that in a stressed syllable, the vowel I would raise and become E. So that means that in a stressed syllable, that now the potential range of vowels is E, U, E, and A, at least phonemically. If the stressed syllable has a uvular consonant in the onset, then that would mean that it could also end up with an R, or So there's still like a pretty broad range of vowels that can come in stressed position. You just can't get or or I.
Okay.
Does that all jive?
I think so.
Cool. Okay. I think I'm starting to sort of wrap my head around all of this. I don't know why I'm sort of having trouble like keeping track of all the vowels, but
there's a lot of vowelage going on.
There is. So now we need something to counteract. Well, we don't need something, but I think it would help accomplish the goals that we've set, and it would go along with what you've said earlier. If we had some sort of unstressed vowel reduction.
Yeah.
Outside of stressed syllables, we have a reduced set of vowels. So the question is, how do we want to reduce them? And again, it doesn't have to be all unstressed vowels. You can totally designate like, well, it depends how sweeping you want this sound change to be, because like the most extreme version of this sound change would be to say that just in all unstressed syllables, all vowels, centralize, for example. I mean, if we're going the most extreme, then all vowels outside of the stressed syllable all turn into schwa, for example.
I mean, that was the first thing that popped into my head, given that I know, like, no options.
That would be a very drastic. So you would end up with words like, if you had a multisyllabic word, something like. Again, it kind of depends on how the stress system works as well, but just off the top of my head. So assuming we have penultimate stress, then we would end up with something like permakalina. So basically every single vowel or every single syllable other than the stress vowel is just
Mm. Yeah, I don't think we want to go quite that far with it. Now that I'm looking at that, like, I feel like that removes too much of the, like, you know, pizzazz.
Yeah, I would agree. That would be a very extreme sound change. So I don't necessarily recommend that. It's not too far off from what English does sometimes, but even English is a little bit more permissive than that. But for one thing, again, it doesn't have to be all unstressed syllables. You can designate some syllables that are just unaffected by this change. So you could say like initial syllables, for example, or final syllables are just not affected by this. So you could still get some variation there. Or you can say, you could just target one specific syllable. Like you could say that the syllable immediately before the stressed syllable, the vowels get reduced there, for example. That's reasonably common. Or the syllable immediately after the stressed syllable. That happens a lot too. So basically, oh yeah, go ahead.
I was going to ask, like, sorry, I'm confusing George. George asked what this is meant to sound like, and I told him chartreuse. So in unstressed syllables, wow, we can have all of these and all of, I presume any of these, right, could all be there. Basically anything we have written down at the moment could be in an unstressed syllable presently.
Yeah, as we have it at the moment, any vowel can go in an unstressed syllable.
So I'm not against the idea of like keeping the ones like right before, right after. But would it like, because we have like 4 columns right now. Would it be possible to reduce them into 2 columns instead of 4? Like either all the rounded ones become unrounded or the front ones go further back or like something like that? Or would that be like weird?
Yeah, we could do something like that. I think saying that the front vowels centralize would make sense.
Yeah, that could be fun. And Jake did say schwa-truce, which I think is very funny.
Schwa-truce.
Yeah, so there should be a lot of schwas because that is it's a good point.
So we're aiming for schwas.
But not only schwas. Yeah.
And as George points out, it's very easy to lose schwa later or to have it harmonize with other vowels, which is something that could be done in the Dora languages, perhaps.
Yeah.
So we say that E and A go to, nope. How do you do? There we go. In unstressed syllables. So again, are we saying in all unstressed syllables or only specific syllables?
Could we say all unstressed syllables that aren't initial syllables?
Yeah, that would make sense, because like, especially if we say that this happens before the stress shift, because that would mean that. Well, actually, hold on, wait a second. Does that make sense? Oh God, because because if we say that that happens before the where's it gone? Why am I so bad at doing things? Hold on. Okay. Let me think through this one step at a time. If we say that we do this before the stress shift happens, so that means we no longer get E or E outside the initial syllable, because the initial syllable is stressed. Then when the stress shifts, now that means that we no longer have E or E in stress syllables at all.
Yeah.
So that would mean that we would no longer have. It would mean we would no longer have E in stress syllables, which feels kind of weird.
A little.
I mean, how does that stand on the vibe thing? No stressed E vowel.
I actually kind of think that might help, because I feel like E is not very chartreuse. Like stressed E is not very chartreuse.
But we do have E, and E very commonly unrounds to replace E. Get E back in stress syllables.
So we could get it back anyway.
Yeah.
Potentially. I'm not opposed to losing it though. I'm really not. I'm not. That doesn't bother me any.
Okay. It does feel a little bit weird to me, but if it fits the I don't think it's impossible. So yeah, as long as you are content in the fact that it is unusual.
I am content.
Okay. So
chartreuse is an unusual color after all.
So we have to start thinking about these in terms of the ordering. So the first thing that happens is that unstressed vowels, which in other words, non-initial vowels, reduce, so that we no longer have front vowels in unstressed syllables. And actually, again, we need to think about, when does this happen relative to the palatals? Because if we already have front rounded vowels by the time that this happens, then we'll already have E and E, and then they'll centralize as well. Or we could say that that only happens afterwards, and that would that actually affect anything? God, why am I so bad tonight?
I mean, we're working on like lower mental capacities because we're ill. So expect little. Expect a little bit.
I mean, yeah, I thought I'd do a better job than this, though. This is. So, if we say that this happens afterwards,
right?
Then that means that we could introduce, because both o and u will potentially exist in unstressed vowels.
Yeah.
And so if there was previously a palatal consonant that caused fronting, then they'll turn into and e, which again, reasonably common for them to unround and become and e respectively. So that would be a way of getting those vowels back if we wanted to at a later point.
Okay.
So I would vote then that we do indeed have this post-palatal thing happen after the unstressed vowel reduction.
Yeah, it gives us more flexibility. I agree.
And if the whole vowel thing, the vowel system becomes too messy, it will mean that there's a pretty easy way of cleaning it up later down the line.
Yeah. That would be good.
Yeah, that is good. That is good.
Yeah, romanization is going to be fun, but that's later us problems. Later problems.
Yes. So that means then that after all these changes have happened, that means that we would still, in initial syllables, we get the whole full spectrum of possible vowels. Any vowel can come in the initial syllable. Stressed syllables, you can only get essentially polar vowels. You can only get high vowels or ah. So only 5 possible vowels. And then in all the other syllables, you don't get front vowels.
Yeah.
So there's some quite what am I trying to say? There's some pretty specific rules about the distribution of vowels in this language.
Yes. It's a bit finicky, for sure.
So let me just actually check that this sounds okay. Because it's entirely possible we could come up with some form and then you could hear it pronounced and think, oh no, that sounds like trash. So let's do we have any handy protoforms that I could borrow for this?
Yeah, I can just go grab a handful of them.
Preferably lots of syllables.
Lots of syllables. Okay, hold on. I got this. Where am I going? Ooh, here's a good one. I think this is the starting one. I'm just gonna stick it. There's one.
Okay. That's 2 syllables.
I'm working. Most of these aren't that bad. I know there was one that was like really good. Okay, here's one.
Oh, there we go. That's now we're talking. Yeah.
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, I'm losing myself. Here we go. Is that sufficient, or do you need more?
No, that I think that's good. Yeah, let's go with the bottom one. That's good. Pidokerha, which that ending makes me think of ejderha, which is the Turkish word for dragon.
Fitting.
It's very fitting. Right. So if we implement the vowel changes as we have them at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
So first of all, we say that the first thing that happens is the unstressed reduction of front vowels.
Mm-hmm.
So, but this is before the stress shift happens.
Mm-hmm.
So that actually wouldn't affect this word. Assuming that we're putting the stress on the, like, my instinct would be to say that after the stress shift happens, the stress falls on the God, what am I doing? Closed penult. There we go.
Okay.
So on the ker bit. But this is happening before that point because the stress is still on the initial syllable when the unstressed vowels reduce. So in fact, that E would change. So that would go to, so what was pidokerha becomes pidokerha.
Okay. Okay. Good so
That
far.
reduced. Then we say that the stress shift happens. And so for this part, we should talk about where exactly we want stress to fall. I recall last time that a lot of your sample words had penultimate stress when I asked you to pronounce them. So we'll just stick with penultimate stress just for the sake of this
Yeah.
example.
I like that.
We say that the stress has now how do you do it?
The little.
Yeah, that's not what I don't want an apostrophe. I want a stress mark, but I can't remember how to do it with this keyboard. So just pretend that that's a stress mark.
I have a great imagination.
Very good. So then after the stress shift happens, now we have stressed vowel raising. So that means that the stress is now on the k, which is the schwa, and so that raises to a u. So now it's pitokurha.
Okay.
How's that?
I like it.
Fit the vibe?
Yeah.
Good.
Oh, look at that. Whoa.
There we go.
We're so fancy. Thanks, Nemo.
So I guess let me just do that with these ones up here as well, just to test the idea.
Okay.
So first of all, unstressed front vowels centralized. We have no unstressed front vowels in this word, so it stays the same. Then the next thing that happens is the stress shift. And again, just for the time being, we're going to say that the stress is on the penult. And then the vowel in the stressed syllable, mid vowels and stressed syllables raise, but A is unaffected. So actually this word stays exactly the same, just stress shifts. So
yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah.
And is it the same with this word as well? Yeah, it's the same with this word as well. So, but that's fine. That's fine. It doesn't need to be, again, it doesn't need to be this massive sweeping sound change that affects everything.
Yeah.
But that does give us some nice flavor, I think. So I guess we should address it sooner rather than later. how we want the stress to change.
Okay.
So, like, I distinctly remember in the last stream with your list of the sample words at the top here, that first one, you did a rendition of it that was like Haruman, right?
Yeah.
So the stress is on the ru.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't like it as much if it was like Haruman.
I mean, it's not bad, but it definitely wasn't what I like originally. Like
Haruman. Stress on the man.
I like that less.
You like that less. Okay.
Yeah.
So we'll stick with the ru. And then, yeah, that is a very intimidating cluster you've got there of the pharyngeal and the uvula next to each other. But
semi-random.
we can save that kind of madness for one of the Dorhalangs. But and so then with this second word there, if we keep it consistent, then that would be Ainaka. Oh, excuse me. Ainaka. Yeah. So the stress would be on the nak. Ainaka.
Yeah, I think that works. I like that.
Cool. So essentially what we're saying is that the stress shiftum. No, let me try that one more time. The stress system shifts. There we go. The stress system shifts from counting from the left to counting from the right. And we could theoretically say that it's just consistently on the penult. It's just always the second to last syllable. There are languages that have fixed stress systems where it's always the penult that's stressed.
Yeah.
Like Nahuatl is sometimes cited as this. This is the risk of going on a completely unrelated tangent. I remember feeling very betrayed by this when I learned about this, because basically every single learner's resource and in plenty of textbooks I found on classical Nahuatl, they will very emphatically tell you that the stress in Nahuatl always falls on the penult, regardless of any other factor, regardless of syllable shape, regardless of vowel length, nothing. It's always on the penult, unless you count the masculine vocative, but that's a separate thing. But it turns out that's just not true. That was actually a post-Hispanic analysis, because the settlers couldn't pick up on the pitch accent system that was being used, and it's actually in the primary sources is I can't remember if it's Molina or Karachi who specifically said that no syllable receives any greater stress than any other. So yeah, it's all a lie.
It's all a lie.
Anyway, yeah, that has nothing to do with anything.
It's interesting.
We could say that the stress is always on the second to last syllable, always, or we could say that it is in some way sensitive to syllable weight. And I'm sure we've covered this at least once before, where generally the rule is, and I always think of this as being like the Latin rule, because this is just how stress works in Latin. The penultimate stress rule. If the penult, which is the second to last syllable, contains either a long vowel or is closed, or both, then it gets the stress. If not, then stress goes on the antepenult, which is the syllable before the penult.
Okay.
So like, what's a good Latin example? God, give me a Latin word. Why can't I think today?
Do I know anything in Latin? Beata? That's a word in Latin, right?
Is it?
I
Beata.
don't know. It's the first word in the, like, I thought it was Latin bit at the start of Hellfire from the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
It may well be. God, why can't I think of words today? What's a 3-syllable word in Latin?
I mean,
Here,
Virginia?
populus.
That's better.
It means people, right?
Okay, yeah.
So if we look at the second to last syllable, is there a long vowel there? No, there's not, because in Latin, if it is a long vowel, you mark it with a macron, a little line over the top. So we know the vowel is not long. Is the syllable closed? Does it have a coda consonant? No, it doesn't. The syllable is pu, and the L is part of the final consonant, the final syllable loose. So it is neither long nor closed, therefore the stress goes on the first syllable po. So it's not populus, it's populus. Whereas a different word like I don't want to use this word because there's an exception, but the word for brain. So in this one, the second to last syllable is reb, and you see that B is a coda consonant, so that closes the syllable. So now the stress goes on this one, so it's cerebrum. Of course, there's a little bit of an exception to that because sometimes in Latin they count sequences of stops followed by liquids as being an initial cluster of the final syllable, so it would actually be pronounced cerebrum, and it kind of depends on who you talk to as to how it's pronounced, but ignoring that for the time being. So with this system, again, we could totally just say stress is always on the second to last syllable regardless of any other factor, or we could say that there is something like if there is a coda consonant, like in this second one, where we have this nice closed nak as the penult, we could say that that's the reason why this syllable is stressed, because that coda Q is closing that syllable, and therefore that means it attracts stress towards itself. I suppose we could have long vowels, but I feel like we're already doing so much with the vowels at this point, and adding length distinctions on top of that would spiral.
I would agree with that. So here's my thought on this. I like the idea of having it be penultimate unless, having a closed one pulls it or whatever. I do like the idea of that. My only worry is that I suck. Not literally, but like that would be slightly harder for me to figure out. So I don't know if, like, obviously none of these have been completed. So it's like, how much can I believe in myself that will be much of an issue for me? I mean, on top of everything else, like, is that attainable for me or not? What do you think?
So I think that, and good night, Seb.
Oh, night. Get some rest.
Yeah, I think it would definitely be the simplest and easiest thing to do, to say that stress is just always on the penult. And even though the example of Nawat is a lie, there are definitely languages out there that do have a fixed penultimate stress. I know that much. So, and yeah, from a reader's perspective, it would be pretty straightforward as well. Just tell them just always stress the second to last syllable.
Yeah.
I think the readers would appreciate a pretty clean, concise rule like that. So
that's fair. That's a good point.
I still remember in freshman year of high school when we were reading the Odyssey, and for some reason each of the different English classes, like the different English teachers, all pronounced all of the ancient Greek names differently. So English class got kind of indoctrinated into thinking that their way of pronouncing the ancient Greek names was the correct way of pronouncing the ancient Greek names. Like I remember there was like at lunch there was a pretty heated debate about whether it's Telemachus or Telemachus, and both sides were really adamant that their way of pronouncing it was correct. So yeah, we want to avoid that.
Well, who's right?
Who was right?
Who's right?
I actually don't know. I think it would be Telemachus, but let me because I think there was actually like a pronunciation guide in the back of the book, but no one could be bothered to actually.
Of course not.
Yeah, Telemachus or Telemachos in ancient Greek. Yeah, but ancient Greek has a pitch accent on top of stress, and you know we definitely don't want to go down that road. That'll
no
one wants to deal with that.
No. Okay, so let's just go penultimate and keep this part simple. We're doing enough weird stuff with the vowels.
Cool. Okay. Stress shift. Stress always falls on the penult. Always. Stress shiftum.
Everyone in the chat loved it, so now it's canon.
Cool. I'm happy to have contributed that. If nothing else, I did that this evening, and therefore it's been a success. Right, so that's nice and easy. And so that means, just as a final just sort of way of confirming the sort of vibe that we're going to be going for, if I just make up a random word, we could end up with something like oh, that's not right. Yeah, something like that. Like Kumanalipa. Kumanalipa. Yeah. So you've got like the first syllable, any vowel. It's anyone's guess. It could be from the whole set. Most of the remaining syllables have a much smaller set. Well, not much smaller, but you can't get front vowels. And then for the stress syllable, you can only get high vowels or ah. So I think that delivers a pretty nice flavor to it.
I agree. I like it. It vibes.
Okay, cool. And again, if at any point we decide we don't like it, there are very easy ways to fix it. So all good. Right. So something else that we can talk about while I remember is the situation with the final clusters, because we'd said last time we were going with no initial clusters. Oh, actually, that is one very quick and simple thing we can do now, because we have never actually decided what the prothetic vowel is. So we've said that this language has no initial clusters, right?
Yeah.
And so if there is a proto-word that begins with a cluster, did we have an example of that? No, we didn't. But then, yeah, if there is a word that this language inherits from the seed lang that begins with a cluster, then you tack on a vowel at the front so that the cluster is no longer at the beginning of the word. It's now in the middle of the word. So do you have any preferences as to what that vowel is? A nice vowel to add at the beginning. It could be anything. There's no specific rule as to, at least as far as I'm aware, there's no specific rules to what vowel is more likely to be epenthetic than others.
Yeah. What about... Oh no, I started moving things. This one.
The I? You like an initial I?
No, I don't. I wanted you to say it. That was like a baby. Nope, not that. Okay, not
Well,
that.
with the sample words that you have there, the only ones that begin with vowels are the last two, and they both start with an I.
There we go. That's it. Let's do it.
Okay. So we're saying our prophetic vowel is an E. As in a letter I, which always makes the sound E.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I hate the English names for the vowel characters. Makes everything so confusing.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're saying that no clusters word initially, but there are some clusters word finally, we said.
Mm-hmm.
So let's try and narrow down what kind of word final clusters we like. Because you said, as I recall, that you wanted to keep some of them, but not too many of them. So like I threw in this random form last time, harast, this one.
Mm-mm-mm.
And I can't remember if you said you liked that or not.
I feel like that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
What if it was like 40?
No.
No?
No.
No, okay. And I can't remember how you do a strike through.
Oh, that's right. I got you. Boom.
Excellent. So in other words, we're saying that a word final fricative plus stop. Why is the plus sign so tiny?
It's because you have the IPA keyboard on, right?
Yeah, it would be. So fricative plus stop is good, but nasal plus stop is not good.
Mm-hmm.
How about karaps?
No.
No. So that rules out stop plus fricative. So how do you do the strike through again?
Format text. It's also Alt-Shift-5.
There we go. Got it. Excellent. What about karans? Or karans.
That's okay.
It's okay. Interesting. So nasal plus fricative is okay. What about karalt?
That's okay.
Also okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, hold on. I think my neurons are finally activating. Okay, I just had an idea. I'm gonna come back to that in a second. Ignore that for the time being. So liquid plus stop is okay. How about karaln?
That's okay.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And what about Karals?
It's fine. It's the most questionable one that's fine, but I would say it's fine.
Ooh.
If it made the rule simpler, we could ex-nay it, but it is also fine.
Okay.
Yeah, dubious. Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Am I missing any obvious combination here? Probably, but so we've got two that are definite no's.
Mm-hmm.
This is interesting.
We could do like a nasal fricative, but I feel like that would be like a no.
This one is nasal fricative.
Oh, it is. Oh, yeah, and that's fine. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I can read.
I mean, we could, if you wanted to be. Well, we haven't talked about syllabic consonants yet, have we?
I don't know.
So, are you familiar with syllabic consonants?
I don't know.
I mean, it's pretty. So, a syllabic consonant is basically like, you know how, like in English, like in fact, how would you pronounce this word?
Bird.
One more time.
Bird.
I think there is a vowel in there. It's very slight, but I think there is a vowel in there because like this is one of those things where it kind of sounds weird until you think about it a little bit, and then you realize that you do this all the time. But a syllabic consonant is basically when a syllable doesn't have a vowel. It just has usually either a r or a l or a m or a n. Those are like the four most common sounds that this happens with. So like there are some, speakers of particularly American English who would pronounce that as like bird.
Ugh.
Like there's no vowel in there at all. It's just bird. It's just like
I don't know why that sounds so weird, but it does.
bird. So there are some languages that are perfectly happy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
So how does that? I'm trying to think of another example. I mean, like the Bantu languages do this a lot. Like in Swahili, the word for person is mtu, and so the whole first syllable is just
Two. Okay. Interesting.
So, first impressions, how do you feel about the concept of syllabic consonants?
Dubious.
Dubious. I see. Well, one thing I will also say is that a reasonably common place that syllabic consonants can come from, if you have a schwa or some other sort of quite weak vowel, an unstressed syllable, the vowel can disappear. I mean, that's exactly what happened in bird, for example. But presumably, at some point, it would have been pronounced more clearly like beard or something. But then, just through the history of English, people just sort of stopped paying attention to the vowel, and the R took over. Yeah, and Formica or Formica, I'm going with the genus of ants, considering that the icon is of an ant. But those examples there, some pretty notable examples of syllabic consonants in not all dialects, but many dialects of English. Like I would say the first one is button.
Button.
So, but a lot of people would say like button. So that like the N just sort of takes over the second syllable. And bottle. That one, bottle. I think I do have a vowel in there. I wouldn't say like bottle. Yeah. And butter as well is two syllables for me, but that's because I have a non-rhotic accent. Anyway, so you're dubious on the concept of syllabic resonance. So I'm assuming something like Karasen wouldn't be very good. What the hell is going on? There we go.
Surprisingly, I don't hate that. I'm suspicious of myself for not hating that, but I don't hate it. I don't think it,
But you don't love it either. It's fine if you do love it. I'm not trying to influence you in any way. It's just as clear a picture as possible as we can get of these final clusters will be very helpful.
I don't actually dislike it at all. I wouldn't say I love it, but like I actually have nothing against that. I thought I would, but like hearing it, I'm like, no, that vibes. But hunt.
Right. So that's very interesting. So we still only have 2 that are definitely out. And this is going to be a little bit tricky because, well, not necessarily, but the proholang, the seedlang, has a fairly complex potential syllable structure. Yeah, CAVAC. So that means that a final syllable so in the protolang, at least as far as I can interpret here, the only permissible final syllable or final cluster in the seedlang is just a liquid followed by an obstruent, right? Because I had it a second ago. I swear I did. Yeah, it's CAVAC. And A is an R or an L, and C is an obstruent, probably. So that means plus an obstruent. So that effectively means that this one, yeah, that's okay, I guess. And there's liquid plus fricative. This one we already have both of those from the protolang. So we don't need to do anything to get those. But the other ones, we do need to mess with things in order to get these final clusters. And I guess one pretty easy way of doing that, word final vowel loss. So like to get fricative plus stop clusters, we could say that in the protolang, if there was a word like karasta, or excuse me, get the stress right, karasta, then you just say the word final vowels are lost, and then there you go. You just end up with all these sequences. So we just have a look at these again. So we want to be able to end up with fricative plus stop, nasal plus fricative. I'm trying to see if there's like a commonality between the ones that you like, so that we can sum up this final vowel loss in like one quick rule to just say that word final vowels are lost in front of these consonants.
I mean, if there's a way, like, we don't necessarily have to have all of these. Like, if there's an easy way to sum it up in, like, while tossing one of these or something, that could be cool too.
Mm-hmm. And in general, I can't remember if I've mentioned this before, but just in general, I would, or at least I tend to err on the side of phonotactics being too strict rather than being too loose. Because even if you have to sacrifice a couple of sounds that you might like, or some certain sequences of sound that just don't fit with the rules that you've created, it will still make for a more consistent sound, which I think is very important.
Yeah, I would agree, especially in the point of using these in a story where there's going to be so few cases of the words anyway, that the more cohesive they are, the better.
That is a good point, Tinguish. I will get back to that in a second. First of all, I'm just going to go ahead and say here, I've not told anyone else about this yet, but I'm working on the writing system for Takvamir right now, and I don't know why or how this happened, but like a few weeks ago, I woke up and just the very first thought that I had that day was, I want to undo one of my sound changes.
Oh.
I don't know. I did this rule where if there are two stops in a row, they turn into a geminate. And 6 years ago, when I made that rule, I was happy with it, and I thought that fit with the language, and I've been sticking with that for all this time. But for some reason, just like a couple of weeks ago, out of nowhere, my sensibility completely changed, and I'm like, I don't love it. I don't love it. But if I do change it, I do have to go back and change a couple of other things, which isn't a huge deal. But the big thing is that would fairly noticeably impact the way the writing system works, which is a whole other kettle of fish. But that's I'll deal with that in my own time. For the time being, as Tinguish has pointed out, we can have. How do you feel about? Kakt?
No.
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 So no double stops.
No.
Format, text, strike through. There we go. And I suppose this is going to be how about this one? Kamal. I'm going to do it without the uvula trill just to make it easier for myself. Kamarl. Kamarl. There we go.
Oh, I'm not a big fan.
So no double liquids. I've already forgotten. It's format, text, strike through. Okay, that's fine. That's fine. So essentially, I've already forgotten. This one that's highlighted in green. No, it's highlighted in green because those are the ones that we get free from the proto-lang, so we don't need to worry about those. Yes. So that means that all we have to do is say that final are. So word final vowels are lost, but I'm trying to think of like the simplest, cleanest way we can define this rule. Because clearly, you know, if there's a fricative involved, then it's allowed, basically. Because in all the ones that we've got left on the board,
other than
other
this one.
than karaps, yeah. It's probably...
It wouldn't be the end of the world to allow this one. If that made it simpler. Like more straightforward.
Yeah.
Cohesive.
I feel like there's an easier way of defining this, though, that is just escaping me because my brain isn't working at the moment. But I'll come back to that. Before I forget, I want to return quickly to this thing that I wrote down about metathesis. So this is just sprung to mind now. I don't know where this came from, and I don't know if this actually makes any sense. So I'm just going to say it, and we'll see how it works. So one of the things that we need to take into account is that in the seedlang, we have liquids that come in coda position, right? So we could theoretically have a proto word that's like alkri, something like that. And then we've talked potentially about God, why can't I think straight? What is the word that I was literally just about to say? L vocalization. Thank you. So that could potentially, the L could become a W, so it becomes like aukri. And then potentially we could say that the ao simplifies, could just become an O. That happens fairly often. And so now we just got okri. And then, and this was the idea that I just had, is because by doing that, if we say that coda L or coda R will both get lost somehow, then a way of reintroducing a L and R in coda position is that we could say that metathesis happens. Metathesis is when two sounds switch places. And this is a reasonably common environment where you've got a stop followed by a liquid. That's a reasonably common place that metathesis can happen, so that okri becomes like orki.
Oh, okay.
That is that happens in some dialects of Turkish, I know for a fact. Like the word for bridge, I think it's bridge, is köprü. Is it kopru or köprü? I can't actually remember if those vowels are fronted, but in a lot of dialects it becomes realized as korpu. So the R and the P switch places. So basically, in order to assess whether or not that change would actually be favorable in any way, is just in general, do you like these sequences? Do you like it when you have a stop followed by an R or an L? So, and not isolated to any specific syllables, just across the board. Because like if you had a word like apla or like atra, or how do you feel about these sounds? Do these sounds fit the vibe? Because if they do, then we can just scrap the metathesis idea.
I think getting rid of them could push us in the right direction.
So you would be okay with getting rid of these?
I feel like that would, like, it kind of softens the sound of it, and we are looking for, like, I feel like, yeah, that would vibe better.
So apla becomes alpa, and atra becomes arta.
I like that.
Okay. Cool. I'll just rough that in for now. Okay. Cool. Now what? Maybe analyze the final clusters as sonorant, fricative, and continuant stop. Let me think about that. Sonorant, fricative, and continuant stop. Sonorant, fricative. Yeah, if you class the nasal as stop, I guess that would work. Hold on. Brain is just backfiring again.
No worries.
I had it. I was like, yes, that's how to do it. And now I've lost it. You know what? I'll just do that later because I'm sure as soon as this stream ends, it'll come to me. I'll be like, yes, that's a perfect way to sum that up. So for now, let's. We've only got, what is that? 23 minutes left.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do we want to proceed from here?
So we've got a lot of things. How do we know if we have enough things?
When we say things,
Changes.
sound changes.
Yeah.
Well, it just kind of depends on like essentially we just keep applying sound changes until we hit a consistent aesthetic so that every word that comes out, you could theoretically plug any word from the proto-lang into the sound changes and it comes out and you're like, yes, that's what I'm looking for. So
Okay.
right now we've got lots of sort of ideas. I guess we should start thinking about what order to put them in because we've kind of done that with some of them. But yeah, I think we should nail down what order they appear relative to each other because that's going to have some pretty important consequences. So I'm gonna. We know for a fact that these changes have to happen in this order relative to each other.
Yeah.
And then metathesis, if we do that, has to come after L vocalization. You feel the coloring that's probably going to occur fairly early on in history, I would say.
Yeah.
And then I feel like we said something important about this before, but I need to remind myself. The palatal is causing the following vowel to front.
Mm-hmm.
I know I had a thought about this earlier. If that happens relative to the stress shiftum, is someone able to remind me what I said? Because I know I said something about this. Because if I know I've been over this exact train of thought before, but clearly my brain is not working tonight. So if the post-palatal fronting happens before the stress shift, then that means God, why is it so
It was
difficult?
something to where we wouldn't get something, but then we could get it back.
Yes.
I can't remember if it was before or after.
Oh. Why am I having so much difficulty with this?
Was it to do with the stress raising? Yeah, it had something to do with when we were talking about what vowels we'd end up getting where. Like, I remember, like, that we talked about it.
Because if this change happens here, then that means when stressed vowels raise, that means that, it will also raise to E, which is fine. If that happens afterwards, that doesn't affect anything. Yeah, that doesn't affect anything. But why do I feel like there was something else in there that I was like, I need to make sure that this happens?
Yeah, I remember something else being in there too that would limit it. I feel like, no, it was with this initial one, wasn't it? Not that. It was with when we were talking about there being, like, after the stress moves, that if it happened before the stress moved, maybe? Or.
Was it just the relative position of these two? Because that feels.
Yeah, now I'm kind of thinking maybe it was. Yeah. Yeah. I think so.
I'm gonna just sort of trust that makes sense. I'm gonna come back to that later, and I'm sure it's gonna be blindingly obvious to me when I can think straight.
So,
Okay.
2 things. The Grassman's Law, it has the aspirated things in it.
Yes.
I know I can't remember where this was, but where our aspirants were velarizing, do those have any sort of ordering dependencies?
Yes. Yeah, so I wrote this out sort of with the Italianate thing in mind. But if we stick with this language and we say that the aspirate stops later become velarized affricates, then that means that this word pun would in the modern language come out as pun. I keep doing that with too uvula of a release. Pun, no. Why is this so hard? Pun. Pa. There we go. Pun. Whereas with Grassman's law, so it wouldn't be like you wouldn't get any sequences of like pa, you know? It would be pa, which I think kind of helps smooth things over a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I reckon that, again, should be a pretty early change.
Mm-hmm.
Then likewise, the S causing a following thing to aspirate, we can stick that in at about the same time. So essentially the language goes through a phase of like redistributing where aspiration occurs, sort of in the same general time period.
That makes sense. Okay.
Oh, and I'd forgotten about this. A voiced consonant devoices when followed by a voiceless consonant.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, and that actually, no, we're not doing vowel length. We've agreed that we're not doing vowel length. No.
Yeah.
Because that reminds me, there's a sound change in Latin called Lachmann's law, where they have this exact scenario where if a voiced consonant is followed by a voiceless one, then it devoices, but it also simultaneously causes the preceding vowel to lengthen. But that's just a quirk of Latin. You absolutely don't need to do that. And in fact, I would recommend that we don't, because I don't think we need to mess around with vowel length in this instance.
I agree.
So these two need to come in that order. These aren't really sound changes, they're just sort of notes.
Yeah.
That is the losing of the is something that we can do in a daughter language. Right now, there's no F in the proto-lang, and there's no we're not doing anything to get an F, so that's not really a sound change. That's just sort of something to keep in mind. Okay. So I think that's roughly.
Was the geminate glide supposed to be a thing?
Oh, geminate glides, yeah. I think that was just a
like a note thing. We were looking.
A question that I had to you as to whether or not you liked having them. Like if you liked the word kawa, for example. Or kaya. Because again, that I would say that's fairly Arabic-y. Like that's I think Arabic is at least a little bit cross-linguistically unusual for allowing geminate glides. So if you wanted to lean into the Arabic flavor, that would be one way of doing it.
I'm fairly indifferent to them.
Indifferent, okay. We can get rid of some of this stuff down here. So we don't. How many rules have we got so far? Like, somewhere around a dozen or so, which is actually more than I thought. But it's still not a huge amount. Like, there is no set rule for like how many sound changes you're going to have per period of time. It's more or less up to you. Again, essentially however many we need in order to find a consistent aesthetic that you like. So is there anything in particular we want to tackle in the last 10 minutes?
I do have a question for you. Semi to the side. So something I've been thinking about is we'll be coming up with all these proto words, right? And then we'll be putting them through the sound changes to figure out what they would look like after the sound changes in the languages and stuff, right? What is like, I feel like I was talking to Jake about this a little bit, and it's hard for me to imagine how to keep all of that straight with like working on this when there's so many different daughter languages and trains of them. Why am I getting a phone call? Go away. Um, like for documenting like this proto thing becomes all these different things and like, I don't know, documenting all of that, given that there's a lot of them. Does that make any sense?
So is the question just how do you document them?
Yeah, and like keep track of them all changing in different ways, and like what if you then go back and make a new like proto word, and then like you have to remember to keep all the like make all the other things, and like I don't know.
I don't know. Honestly, I think you would probably be better at like organizing documentation than I would be. I have to say I've never made a like a full like multivariate language family to the same extent as this. I've got like the biggest language family work I've done was the Thracian languages, and there are only well, really, there's only two of those that I had the Proto-Lang, and then I had two daughter languages, reasonably well fleshed out daughter languages come from the same Proto-Lang. And then I've got a bunch of other languages that are kind of, they exist nominally, and I've got ideas for them, and I have like a couple of sound changes written up for them and a few ideas for them, but they're definitely not like fully fledged and well realized. So I can't say I have any like concrete advice. Just that theoretically, if you had a separate page for each of the daughter languages and you just had a little section on all the sound changes that happened, or if you have Lexigy to help you out, which I really should learn how to use Lexigy at some point. It's just that would be useful and a good thing to do. But then theoretically, all you should have to do is just come up with a word in the Proto-Lang and just press a couple of buttons, and then it'll just produce all of the forms for all the different daughter languages. So I wouldn't worry about it too much.
Okay. Cool. Valid. I'll try. Oh my gosh. Yeah. I feel like, yeah, I think that makes sense. Because I know like right now we have like just these like lists, which is valid. Because I feel like I need to like take some time to just generate a bunch of stuff and throw it in there, both so we have more stuff to play with when playing with sound changes. But I think that'll be good. People are seconding the idea to try out Lexigy.
Yeah, I tried a few years back. I'm not good at programming or coding or anything of that nature, and I struggled a lot with it. And then I had a patron who just sort of voluntarily made all the sound changes for Talk for me, and so I just didn't really have a reason to need to learn it after that point, so I kind of neglected it. But yeah, I should go back and try again.
Fair. Yeah, I think that's valid. I mean, if you don't have anything else, I feel like we could go over closing notes, and that would be sufficient for today.
Closing notes. That sounds good.
Okay. So it's Monday today. I have no idea what is or isn't happening this week in terms of various streams. I suppose there's enough people in the chat that can probably let me know. I don't know if Jake is still here. But I don't know what the other ones. I assume Laying time isn't happening this week because that would be kind of crazy.
At the end of their last stream, they did drop a very furtive hint that maybe they might make something happen. But
okay. So maybe laying time. This will not be happening next week. There will be the 29th. No stream for the languages of Pillar World on the 29th. But then everything will continue as is. Yeah, I'm not seeing, I don't know about Let's Have a Boba, but I don't know. But yeah, so then, okay, George says Conlangery should be happening on Saturday. So that'll be normal. But yeah, so I guess otherwise I will not see people on a live stream unless you're a patron until the new year. Yeah, so like happy holidays and happy new year and all that exciting huzzah.
Indeed, it's that time of year, isn't it?
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I'm not ready.
Yeah, I do not have well, I don't do live streams other than this, so I have nothing to update people with.
Fair. We have very exciting outro updates for oh my god.
Left. Man. Ooh. I feel like this was definitely more exhausting than it would normally be for me.
I know. I feel like I could take a nap now, except I need to like try and do as many coats of wall paint as I can now because we're getting the new carpet installed tomorrow in that room because it was disgusting because it was my son's carpet when he was potty training, so it's nasty and it's got to go. Very gross. Very gross. But I want to get as much painting done before I get the new carpet in there as possible because like I can drip all over the old carpet and I don't care. That'll be good. I don't know.
Cool.
Yeah. And that's a good point, George. There are Lexember entries happening still. We're on Bibs prompts now.
We are, aren't we?
Today was, I think, the first one.
Yes. I don't know if this is a spoiler or not, but because my my prompts covered Christmas Day, like the 25th is within my my set of prompts, and so the original idea was that I would make that day the prompt for that day would be a weather condition, and I would be like, oh, I can make a word for snow. That would be, thematically appropriate for a word for Christmas Day is snow. And then I realized I already had a word for snow, so I can't do that. So yeah, not quite as festive as it could have been. I just went with rain instead. So yeah, rainy Christmas. But
I have no memory at all of what I did. I feel like I made all my words for these and then I forgot all of them. And now as I've been going back to like film things, I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I did. I don't know. It's a fun thing. George, you're smart not having carpet. I didn't want carpet. The carpet was a compromise, but it's okay.
I get the sense that this is a controversial opinion these days, but I do like carpets.
Really?
Like, not rugs, but like if a room is properly carpeted. I understand there's a lot of drawbacks, but there's a certain coziness that they give that I quite like.
That's fair. I feel like my biggest dislike for them, other than the fact that I have children and they're gross, and it's a lot easier to swap out a rug than it is a carpet. Like I actually have rugs on top of the carpets in their room that we've had to get rid of already because they got so gross. But I don't know. I feel like carpet colors just are boring. Like they're always like gray or beige.
Mm.
And it's boring, which I feel like you can tell based off the colors I paint things that I don't like gray or beige. But I mean, they're fine. Like, I just like the opportunity to do crazy things, given that I'm literally painting the walls in the new studio black. Oh, it'll be great. It'll be great. Yeah, the carpet does help for sound. That's a good point. The carpet is very good for that.
Interesting.
It's like
I do know more than one person. This I suspect this might just be a British thing with just old houses, but I know multiple people who have carpeted bathrooms, which I think is just madness.
That's so weird. Yeah. That would not be me. Would not be me. That's okay. Yeah, exactly, Judge. Reduces reverb. It helps a lot. Yeah.
Well, on that note.
On that note, yeah, we could. Yeah. Thank you, Viv. Yeah, we did. We got things done. We're more organized. We're moving up in the world. And yeah, happy what was I gonna say? Holidays and Happy New Year and all of that.
You too. Happy holidays, everyone watching.
And on the note of lime green carpeted bathrooms.
I do like lime green, not in that context. That's
yeah. Okay. Goodbye, people. Goodbye. I'm gonna click the end stream button now. Okay.